All right, today we've got a special guest. We have a proper setup here, so you know he's a special guest. A great man, one of the greatest men of Australia, I like to think, from my time here. He is 2007, 2009, 2013 World Surf League champion. You've got role models in Australia, I think, and like there's people all over the world that I think represent countries. I think of people like yourself, Ash Barty, people that represent this country of Australia better than anyone else. And it's a credit to you and what you've done. We'll go through some of it, man. It's pretty phenomenal, seriously. But we'll welcome in Mick Fanning, the absolute legend that is.
How you going?
It's so good to have you. Thank you so much for coming on. We'll start off, the Cooley kids from Coolangatta. Mm-hmm. Now, you've got some of your great mates. You got Joel Parkinson, Dean Morrison, and yourself. Grew up together. You, I was told y'all, this is literally what I was told. You WAG school. Now I didn't know what WAG meant originally, so I had to do a bit of deep diving into that and found out that meant hooky in American language. But you essentially skipped school together. Used to surf all the time. Obviously traveled the world, won championships and stuff like that. What was it like, I guess, having those people you grew up with be part of your career throughout the time that you were traveling overseas? And I can imagine, like, at times it'd be so lonely being away from friends and family and everything else. Like, to have those guys there to be able to support you throughout those times.
Yeah, it was amazing. I guess going back to the school days, they probably wagged a lot more than me. I'd get in trouble. My brothers would tell my mum that I had to go to school. But then, look, those two guys were pretty much the reason why I am where I am today. They were destined to be pro surfers since they were like 12 years old, and I didn't really know how to become a pro or how to make the tour or anything like that. I just followed them, and I was always getting like second or third to those guys, and just could never beat them, and that just made me want to try harder and just be better. And then we went through this leapfrog effect where, 1 month Joel would be winning everything. The next month Dean would be winning everything. And then I would go over the top of them, and we'd just keep doing that. And then before we knew it, we're all top 10 in the world. Yeah. Like, it just happened so fast. And like as you said, the tour can be a lonely spot at times. But, when you've got two of your best mates that you grew up with, anything happened, would all be there, like, supporting each other. Especially our first year on tour, we're always watching each other's heats, making sure that we're getting from spot to spot. It's still like that today. Like, we're always on the phone together, we're always going surfing together, and it's more of a brotherhood than actual mates. Yeah,
and like, do you have a memory of like something of someone winning a championship maybe at a certain time that really just kind of gelled you all and took you to the next level of that friendship?
Our first year on tour was big. Like, it was really significant. Joel won the first event of the year for us. Joel had actually qualified the year before us, but sort of didn't do that well. And then he won that event. And then we partied at his place. And then as we went through the year, I won an event. And Dingo was sort of struggling, and there was a moment where, he had a death in the family, and it was like, it was us three just sitting there and trying to figure out the best plan for Dean and making sure that he was okay if he wanted to surf or if he wanted to go home, that he knew that he had support there. And I think that first year sort of really cemented how strong our friendships were. And then Dingo had a pretty bad accident in Hawaii and actually didn't qualify for the following year, and he got an injury wild card. And then he came out the next year and ended up winning the very first event. And so it was a big win for all of us in that situation. And seeing your mate have a hard time and then come out and triumph was really special. So they're the things that sort of, carry on today. And then even now we're off tour, we've always got each other's backs. We always know exactly what's going on in each other's lives. And if good, bad, ugly, pretty, we're there for every moment. It's pretty funny.
Oh, it's great to have that kind of family feel, I guess, of like people, and that's so important, I feel like, in that inner circle of your mates that you kind of do. Now, I want to go into I will go back into that a little bit, but I want to go into your Fanning the Fire video. Now, this is the OG like video, right? So you're young at this point in your career. You're traveling the world, essentially filming yourself, hitting all these different like waves around the world. That would have been one of the most exciting times of your life, surely. Filming everything, just like feel like there's no real restrictions whatsoever. It was just like you doing, I mean, like at one point in the video, you were in a fighter jet. Like, it was kind of like just chaos.
Yeah, it was, to be really honest, I was so naive to the whole video side of things. I was just, I was all about just trying to qualify. I was just trying to get on tour and see what I could do on tour and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm so lucky and I get put in situations. Some are good, some are really stupid, but just get put in situations where I get to go and jump in a fighter jet or, you know, I get to go on these trips where I'm just with a bunch of mates on a boat or something like that. And it's like there's nothing better. It was a really fun time. I'll give you another funny story. It was when just after Fanning the Fire came out, it was our first year on tour and we went to Brazil and there was a blackout in this hotel and there was 1,500 candles all around this hotel. Like,
jeez, okay.
Yeah, like the whole place was just out of power. And Dingo and I had just rocked in that day. We were in a room together and we were like, all right, he wanted to go and get some boards fixed from a friend next door. And so we're like, oh, let's go do that and we'll be back in like 5-10 minutes. And so we left the candle on top of the TV.
Oh, no.
And we essentially, the candle went through the TV, exploded, and we weren't back in 5-10 minutes. We'll be back in like 4 or 5 hours because we ended up just going to hang out with these guys. And we come back and people thought we were dead in the room and this and that. And all our boards were just covered in black silk.
Oh, my gosh.
All our clothes just ruined, gone, had no clothes, had nothing. Dingo travelled home on a burnt passport. But yeah, it was just like Fanning the Fire really stuck then because, yeah, me and Dingo pretty much burnt down a hotel. From then on, Dingo and I never stayed together ever again.
You learned your lesson.
And I moved in with Paco.
Fire out in Brazil.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you've learned your lesson. How was that like that video going out? Like obviously kind of now the publicity comes with it. Like that's probably your first real, I guess, like experience of like kind of being known everywhere and kind of a global standpoint. Like being young in that situation, how was that? Like how'd you end up handling that situation of having a bit of fame now with that coming out?
It was different because I guess back then was sort of before the internet. It was, you know, there was no social media or anything like that.
Was this DVDs? Was this VHS?
It was all DVDs back then, yeah. So, yeah, I sort of probably didn't get the same notoriety of what a kid would do today.
Yeah.
You know, you do something good today and it's on the news like that. It's on social media like that. So it sort of took probably a year or so and it's a learning curve. I think, you know, you get trained to become a pro surfer. You get trained to, you know, talk in front of the media and stuff like that. But no one really goes through and trains you how to, you know, handle your beers at the pub or not run around like an idiot. So it's, look, as I said at the start of it, I made plenty of mistakes and that's just learning. And but yeah, as you grow, like even when I became world champion, it was like I don't want that responsibility. All I want to do is go surfing, but it just comes, and you have to learn to deal with it, and you have to learn to just treat people the way you want to be treated.
A lot of people don't know how to handle it, and it's like treat them as you would treat anyone else in life. And like obviously there'd be more people that come into your life because of the fame that you've kind of gotten, but that's a great way of putting it. But now I will move into this because you say treat people the way you want to be treated. Now, the Gold Coast floods recently here, I've heard some amazing stories about you and what you've done. Even just walking in here, one of the guys was saying you were just rolling around on jet ski throwing beer to people that needed it. But in all honesty, obviously massive floods rolled through the Gold Coast, and a lot of people are in need help. The government can't reach everyone, and you've essentially come to the realization you have the ability to get to these people through launching jet skis off highways, I've been told. Mm-hmm. It's a credit to you. Is there any, looking back at that time in life and when it happened, what was going through your brain whenever this is happening in your area that you live, and you're seeing these people being affected by something that's just, you can't plan?
For lack of better words, it was a shit show. It was so wild. So it sort of all came about. Parko went down the river on his ski just to check things out, just to make sure that he went down the day before. And I was at home. I was dealing with rising water where I'm at, and so I was concentrating on making sure my family was safe and making sure that the house wasn't flooding and stuff like that. And then to get a text probably about 7 p.m. that night, and Parko's like, "Hey boys, we might need some help tomorrow." And instantly our community, our inner circle just went, "All right, we're on." And so it wasn't just me. We had this community that everyone just dropped everything they were doing and just went, "Let's go and help these people." And we had as many skis as we could get out in the water. We had them. We had boats. We had, we're talking to people. Like SeaWorld would bring down their boats. The power boat people came down from Southport, just trying to get as much resources to people. And then the other part was probably the biggest heroes in all this that probably didn't get the recognition was all our partners were back at the boat ramp, and they're just texting us addresses and telling us where food's got to get to. And they're dealing with the calls. They're dealing with Instagram messages, Facebook messages, and they were just around the clock, just nonstop. Like some mums didn't even see their kids in 4 or 5 days. Jeez. And were just putting their life on hold to go and help others. And they were just in a pressure cooker the whole time. I guess my role as things went on, my role changed through just trying to figure out where I could place myself to make sure that everyone got the best benefit. As I said, first day I was on the skis and I was, going up and down streets. They were rivers at that point. They were meant to be streets, and just making sure people were okay, transporting people to dry land, making sure that people could, if they needed food, we would flag houses, make sure they had food, water to get through the night. And then the next day I went down to Murwillumbah, flew down, and I was on my way down, and that's when a woman by the name of Sky, she was a pharmacist down in Murwillumbah, and she's like, "I need a lift down," and she was in this tinny. It would have taken her hours, and I was like, "Get on, let's go." Yeah. So she got to open up the pharmacy down there, make sure that people got medication they needed, everything to make sure that they were healthy mentally and physically. And I stayed in Murwillumbah that day, and we had houseboats coming down. We had a fleet of probably about 10, 15 boats that would come down, and they was just dropping food and water because these people were all just cut off.
And nothing, yeah.
We're trying to help out the hospitals, the recovery centres. I had the local police just filling up their paddy wagons, and they're just going out to places like Yukai and trying to make sure that people had food and water. So that was coordinating that at Murwillumbah was pretty hectic. We're running out of resources, and so I was like, I didn't want to be the face of this. I didn't want to attract media attention or anything like that. That's not who I am. Not you, yeah. But it was like, I'll do a media run just so we can get more money, we can get more food, we can get more water, and get more help, because we're running on nothing. And so that's how that went in. And then the next thing I know, I'm organising choppers to go out and speaking to the premiers and you know, trying to help these people that, you know, the people who police trying to sort the rescues out, and so it just kept evolving. And but yeah, I was just part of a team, man. Like for me to take all that credit is, it was our partners, the people out in the water, the people going and knocking on doors, making sure people were safe. Like everyone was hugely affected, and we just tried to do our best to make sure that our fellow neighbours and fellow communities were safe.
It's an amazing thing I've learned about Australia is like whenever people are in dire need, the community comes out and does their best. Like I've never seen anyone be as charitable of a country as Australia whenever people are in need. Like whether it be just doing a Good Friday appeal like today is Good Friday and like doing something like that, people just are so willing to give. Now would have probably in that situation, I think of like you and you're a very selfless man. Like you don't like to be in the front of the media, you know, and have that. You obviously, we just spoke about it and you're talking about the people in the community that made it happen. It wasn't just yourself. Was it good though to be able to have the ability of being a bit of an icon and a bit of a model, like a role model in society, to be able to use that platform to actually get those supplies and like be able to use that in such a beneficial way for those people?
It was great. Like to be able to get more food, more water, more first aid, more all that sort of stuff. That was our goal, you know, when we started to help. And then as I said, like when we started hearing stories about people trapped out the back of a Wollumbar and you know, hadn't had any contact for 5 days, no food, no water. And we're like, how do we do that? And then you get people like just started donating helicopters.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we're coordinating where helicopters go. Like people like Mick Fanning, another guy, Paul Gideon. Like there was so many people that came and just wanted to help in one way or another. And I was just trying to figure out ways to help these people so they could, you know, feel safe and, you know, didn't have to worry about, you know, where they were going to sleep or if they were going to be able to feed their kids or put nappies on and all that sort of stuff. And it took a big toll though on especially our partners and the people that were in on all that, you know, just to you know, seeing these people in need. It really affected everyone, and the community's still picking up the pieces. And you know, you walk down the street of some of these towns, and they're still trying to get their lives back together, which is tough. Yeah. And so that's why we're not forgetting about them. We want to keep helping, and that's sort of why we got other different things in place now.
We'll move on to another person that's helped you out quite a bit in your life, your mother.
Yeah.
Now, is it true she was your agent?
She was. Yeah.
How'd that work? How was the dynamic of your mother being your agent? Did you ever have any conversations and saying, Mom, put a few zeros at the end of that contract, or ask for more here or ask for more there? Like,
yeah, it was funny. You know, I think I was around 16, 17 at the time, and you know, I started getting larger contracts, and you know, my mates were having agents and managers and stuff like that, and I went, oh, that sounds like a pretty good idea. Save me working. And so I went home, and my mum's she was the managing director of a whole bunch of different hospitals. She's in mental health. And I went home and I was like, hey, Mum, what do you think if I got a manager or whatever? And she was like, no, you're smart enough to look after your own stuff. And, you know, I'm going to help you and I'm going to teach you the ins and outs of your business. And I'm like, okay. I don't really, I'm like, well, I guess I don't have a choice on that one. Because, yeah, like mum's tough. Like she's the nicest woman in the world, but she's a fiery lioness. And you know, who better to protect you in that situation than your mum, you know, pretty much guide me and teach me about my business. And here we are today.
Did she ever think you'd accomplish what you've accomplished? Or does she still just go, this is insane?
Yeah, I think so. I think, I pinch myself too. A kid born in Penrith to two migrants, Irish and English, and that never swum. I think if you push my dad in the pool, he'd drown. To become a pro surfer, it still blows my mind. And I think that's the beauty of it, is that we all just learn on the fly. We all just learn as we went. And, there was probably situations where we could have made more money, or there could have been situations where probably a deal didn't go right. But, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, well, it seems like the people you like to surround yourself with, like giving them that experience also and doing it as a group means a lot. And I think, like I said, that inner circle and having them be part of your career and like sharing the successes and sometimes help you through the failures and things like that, it just makes it feel like such a more wholesome experience overall.
Yeah, for sure. And, there's not dissing managers or anything like that, but...
Mama knows best.
Yeah. If something went wrong, fuck. Hang up the phone and throw it in the ocean because the lioness is coming for you. It was, yeah, I remember she lost it at my bosses so many times. I have a great relationship with my old boss at Rip Curl, Neil Ridgway, and he remembered getting on the phone. He's like, "Oh no, I've stuffed up here," and that learnt for me too. I was like, you know what? If I don't like something in the contract, I'm happy to get on the phone and say, we're not doing this, or let's change this. And it's a good way to learn toing and froing as well. There are things that you don't want to do, but you have to do. Yeah. And then there's other things that I think the people that I work with trust that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Well, we want Bree. Mm-hmm. Now you've got little Xander, the 2-year-old, retired life. How is it now being a family man?
Oh, I love it. There's nothing better. As I said, I don't want to, I try not to work just so I can be at home. And I love just learning each and every day from him. Not one day is the same. It's crazy, but we have so much fun. Even just walking down the beach last night, we were just running and laughing for 2 hours, and it was just, that's what you live for.
Yeah.
And, and Bree's, seriously, she's the most caring, patient mum person I've ever met. Mm. And yeah, I'm just so lucky that she came into my life, and Xander's the luckiest kid on earth to have her as a mum, because if she wasn't around, his life would be a bit different with me.
He's jumping on jet skis, rolling around wherever he wants.
Yeah, and things, tantrums probably wouldn't happen.
She's got patience.
Yeah, she's got so much.
She's got a lot of patience. Yeah. Is Xander getting into swimming and everything else?
Loves it. He loves the beach. He had a year where he hated the beach. Yeah. And I was just thinking, oh no, I'm going to have that kid that
doesn't want anything to do with his dad does.
So, yeah. So I was thinking, maybe I might steer him into golf or something like that. But he's loving the beach. He's going, he's almost pulling us down the beach more often. Yeah. And just there's times where, I could go surfing or whatever, and I'd rather just hang on the beach with those two and just have so much fun. And it was pretty classic. Just the other week, I asked him if I could go surfing. He's like, "No, you can't go surfing. Mummy goes surfing." And I'm like, "Well, Bree, you're off by yourself." And she went and caught her first ever wave by herself.
Wow.
And me and him just sat on the beach playing trucks. It was epic.
2-year-old's running the house already.
Pretty much, yeah.
Tell you what's going on. Have you got him onto a surfboard?
He's caught a few waves, yeah.
Is it over the back, or you put him on the front of the surfboard?
At the moment, we're sort of just putting him on the front. He's caught a couple where he's been laying on my back, but yeah, I don't want to push him too hard, just because, I'm scared that if I scare him, then he's not going to want to go back. So I'm doing everything at his pace.
That's a good way to put it. We'll get into a little bit of this. We haven't actually really talked about your surfing career too much yet. So we'll get into a little bit of that, the rivalries you've had with some of these people, right? You got Kelly Slater, Gabriel Medina, Angelo De Sousa, Andy Irons, like some of these amazing surfers that have come through the system. How do you, like, obviously whenever you travel around the world doing these different surf competitions and stuff, like you would almost feel like a family, I feel like, within a family of all the people that show up at the same competitions and stuff. Was it tough to separate whenever you go out there friendship from competitiveness? Is it like that whenever you get into the water, as soon as your feet hit the water, it's like, you know what, friendship goes to the side. This is purely business. Can't like get into the competition?
Yeah. that's how I always looked at it. Like always tried to leave it out in the water. Sometimes someone might be a dick in the water, but use the rules or whatever. But there's always, I guess, the same in footy where there are some gentleman rules.
Yeah.
And like if someone takes a cheap shot or something like that, you're going to be like, all right, I remember you. And there were times like that. But a lot of the time I would always just try and leave it in the water. Yeah. If you play by the rules and you give it your best, we're good. Yeah. So that was the way I always went about it. As you said, you're traveling with these guys. Yeah. You're seeing their families and, helping each other through airports. And some people just see sport as, that's their team and they'll do anything for their team. But at the end of the day, guys and girls, they actually get along with people from other teams. And that's the way it should be. Like I still talk and hang out with some of my biggest rivals. Like probably my biggest rival, Parker, is like one of my best mates. Yeah. You have to be able to separate it.
It's funny because the people you compete against and the people you have to actually go out there and try to beat are probably the most compatible to you as far as your friendships. Because you do the same thing. You're interested in the same stuff. You go to such different places around the world. Like after an event, did everyone like go to the same pub and like have beers together and like hang out? Or was it like everyone went their own ways, went to their own families? Or was it just kind of like, we're WSL, like we're all here together, let's just enjoy the time?
Yeah, no, like there's after parties and everyone comes together and has way too many beers and that's the beauty. Like we, as Aussies too, we had different traditions in different areas. Like probably the most well-known one is in France. We had the Café de Paris, which is this little pub right on the corner, and they sell giraffes, like the 2-litre beers in a tube, and we would have anywhere between 20 to 100 people there, all just celebrating, like depends who won. And that's hilarious though. Like I go through photos now and I see those things and it's like they're the memories that you remember more than actually, round 3 heat.
The lead up competition stuff.
Yeah. And that's where you build your friendships and, that's the memories that you last forever and they're the ones that will carry on with you because also too, as a sports person, you're only got a lifespan of say 15, 10 to 20 years maybe, unless you're Kelly Slater and it goes on for 430 years. But they're the times that you keep carrying on and you find out who you like and who you don't like and who you like have a beer with.
Like what's your favorite place to compete?
Oh,
actually, what's your favorite place in the world to surf? I won't say compete because that's going to limit you a bit.
It's probably the same thing. Look, I love home. I live here for a reason because life's easy, amazing waves, climate's great. Probably the best places I loved to compete were Fiji. We got to stay on a small little island, and it was just the competitors and the crew, and
how good.
And it's like almost camp vibes.
Yeah.
And then obviously South Africa is a big one for me. I just love how raw it is and how you could be in the ocean, then you're going to see wild big 5 animals within an hour. It's just still trips me out to this day, but it's just beautiful place and the people are amazing. So they're probably my 2 favorites that I'll go to.
You say like surfing's properly shaped you. Obviously, it's been such a massive part of your life. Like, is it now, like you obviously have the competition side of things, but now you go surfing and it's probably more of an enjoyment thing now than anything of, you not feel like you need to prep for the next competition or anything like that. Is it really your escape now to just go out there and you just feel totally 100% in your own environment whenever you're out on the water?
Yeah, it's funny. Like I go surfing, I really enjoy just going surfing, even if it's for like 10, 15 minutes. But as I've gotten older, I've really noticed that if I don't surf, my mental health goes down.
Yeah.
And so it's a good reset for me each and every day. And I know that Bree and Xander notice it too when we're at home. Like if I haven't surfed in a few days, I'm a little bit snappier and
They tell you to go for a surf.
Yeah, so they're like, piss off, go to the beach. And so, yeah, I the thing about surfing is that I go there and I concentrate 100% on me.
Yeah.
You know, what wave to catch, what turn to do. And I can ride any board I want, or, you know, I'm not practicing for that next event. And so that's the beauty of surfing. And, you know, as I was saying before, like to be able to take my family down the beach and create memories is, it's priceless.
So special. Any advice for anyone that's out there trying to do what you've done?
Oh, mate, it's like anything. It's hard work.
Yeah.
Like, but you've got to enjoy it. Like, sure, there's days that absolutely suck, but you know that might be 1 in 10.
Yeah.
It might be 1 in 20. You know, I was blessed to essentially, like everyone says that their job's the best in the world. But yeah, man, surfing's one of those things where you're not only going surfing for your job, you're going and doing surf trips for your companies. And it's just, yeah, we're just spoiled.
It's a phenomenal life like, that you've been able to live. Like, I look back and I see these 2 massive Red Bull jet skis behind me, and I think, yeah, those would be pretty fun to take out. Not gonna lie.
Go for
it. You've been fortunate enough not only in the surfing world, now that you've retired, you've got into a bit of the business world. Now, a lot of people have known that you've been involved in the beer company that you've now sold. Like, do you look at yourself as a businessman now?
Nah. No, look, I think...
Because you started Balter Beer. You've got, like, you and Joel, like, obviously you talk about that friendship, and it would have been pretty special to have a company, like, together that you started.
Yeah.
And, like, have that together as a friendship. Like, people always say don't get into business with, like, family or friends sometimes, but I think it's so special that you were able to have that, obviously, like, life experience with them, and then even post-career be able to continue to do stuff with them.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like, Balter's probably been the most amazing experience for a whole lot of different reasons. You know, I guess when we started Balter, we sort of all knew that our careers were coming to an end soon.
Yeah.
And as you learn to go through your career, you start figuring out that you don't need to be 100% on point every single minute of the day to be the best. So you start learning that you can do other things. And that one was Balter was just one of those ones where, like, to give you the background, the story, Derbeach, who was on tour with us as well, he just hit me up in the Qantas Club and goes, "Hey, do you want to start a beer company?" He's like, "Yeah, what's the worst can happen? You get free beer." And then B's like looking at me going, "Do you reckon Joel will get involved?" I was like, "Can only ask,
It's
right?"
beer, mate, sure.
Yeah. So, and he loves beer more than anyone. And so we asked him, and then B had already talked to Josh Kerr, and then it sort of just started from there. And the 4 of us got together, and then there was another guy, Sean Ronan from the States, and we all sort of caught up, and we're like, all right, what do we need? Like, what's the plan? Bede had this big idea to start it on Stratty, and I was like, mate, that's not going to work because one, it costs way too much on that ferry and all the rest, and so we all decided to try and figure out if we can get it here in Currumbin, and then it was like, all right, what do we need? So we need someone good in marketing. So we hit up Sterling Howland, who used to do the marketing for Billabong. So I already worked with Joel and all that. And then it was like, all right, we need a good CEO. And my favorite of all time team managers was a guy called Anthony McDonald. He was my Red Bull athlete pretty much for the first 10 years of our relationship. And I asked him, and it all just sort of fell into place here and there. And then the next thing we're like, well, we have to find someone who actually make really good beer. So people actually come back. Yeah. Okay. You know, we could do this gimmick of like surfers trying to make beer and it's going to taste like crap and no one's going to come back for a second. Yeah. But yeah, when we found Scotty Hargraves, it was like all the pieces came together. Yeah. And then, yeah, it was, the beauty of it was that because everyone had been so successful in all their fields, no one had any ego. Yeah. Everyone was learning off each other. Mm. And that's how it is. You know, you walk into Balter today and if anyone's got an ego, they don't really last that long because it's like you just don't fit. Like, you know, when talking about our CEO, Ant McDonald, he learnt the whole industry just from going and doing things and learning on the fly and you know, really immersing himself in, you know, meeting different brewers, meeting different companies and all that sort of stuff. And for me, it was great. I got to sit in the marketing side of things. I got to sit alongside the board and, you know, learnt people like David Ginju, who used to be the CEO of Channel 9, you know, just sitting in these circles and just learning was just like, wow. I've got lessons that I still carry on today. And the other really cool thing is that I'm going to work my ass off for my mate, and I know my mate's going to work his ass off for me. Yeah. And that's why we just work really hard and try and do our best for even our staff as well. So that's how it all came together, and I think that's how it became so successful. So cool. You get a bit of a crash course in business because of you and what you've been able to do. Obviously, a lot of people, they finish their athlete career and they feel as though if you're in it for, let's say, like 10 years, you know, you go, well, I've lost 10 years of experience in the real world. Mm-hmm. And it's almost because you've been able to surround yourself with good people throughout it. It's like you almost got a crash course probably within like a year or two that would have been 10 years worth of experience probably outside of it, just because of what you did. And it would have been so cool, I think, because you had been so focused on surfing for so long that now you had like a different outlet that was like totally new and totally exciting and had a massive like bell curve to try to, you know, understand what you're doing. And to do it with friends too would have been like awesome, just to have that experience the first like year or two and be like, oh my gosh, I'm just soaking in everything that's coming my way. Yeah, soaked in a lot of alcohol. Yeah, look, it was just amazing. Like, you can't get that from a course. Yeah, you know, exactly. You're in the real time. You had to make like big decisions and, you know, pressure cooker moments where, you know, we're dealing with other people's money and stuff like that, trying not to lose it. And but I sort of see the business world very similar to the sporting world as well, is that, you know, you got to make quick decisions, and if something goes wrong, you have to let it go. You have to just keep going and moving forward and maybe evaluate after the game or something like that. And I think business is similar in that sense, but also too, it's like if you're working hard and you're giving it everything, then results will come one day. You know, it might not be $1 billion here or something like that, but something will come out of it somewhere down the track. Someone might see and go, hey, this person is perfect in this role or perfect in that role. And so it's not just working for today, it's working for tomorrow as well. The whole persistence is key, eh? And persistence gets you a long way. Well, we're getting to the end of this. I've got a few people who wanted me to ask you some questions. Yeah. Now, one of them was, what's the most coveted thing you have? Is it a surfboard? Is it a trophy? Is it just something you look back at as like, if something were to happen, like you would want to make sure that's the one thing you take out of the house? Oh, Oh, definitely the family.
Besides that, I mean, we're talking about something materialistic. More than an actual person.
Yeah.
That's good stuff by you. Yeah, it's smart by you.
Yeah, look, I've got some incredible things. Obviously, probably because bells is on, my bells are something I really love. I've got some surfboards. I got one from MR. I got a Jerry Lopez there. There's just different heirlooms that are sort of collected over the years. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sort of not like crazy materialistic on anything really. It's like
you've got the experience. I feel like you're a man that like knows the importance of the experience rather than the actual like materialistic thing that comes out of it.
Yeah, like I'm hopeless at taking photos because I want to live in the moment. And then I get home at the end of the trip and I'm like, oh, whoops, I didn't take that.
What'd you do? It's awesome to tell this great story. It's like, oh, show me the photos. Like, don't have any. Someone else hopefully took some.
Hopefully someone else took some.
I just wanted me to ask you about the pipeline in Oahu. Obviously one of the biggest, most coveted competitions of the year. And you had to win that to win the whole competition for the year and like be the champion. And they said it was phenomenal the way he handled it, the way it all happened, the pressure he was under to be able to perform at that level. Going back to that day, do you remember, did you just kind of let it like water off a duck's back as far as pressure? Or did you feel it on the day of feeling like you really needed to live up knowing what was on the line?
If you don't feel the pressure, then you don't really care.
Yeah.
It's like walking into a GF or something like that. Like you know what's at stake and you've worked your ass off to get there. You've sort of built yourself all the way to get to that moment in your career. And, I guess for me, it was like, I wanted to go out and create my own history. I wanted to be the one like, okay, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. I'm not going to go out there and hope because that's not going to get you anywhere. No. So I'm like, if I get an opportunity to do things, I'm going to try and do it to the best of my ability. And I think that's sort of where, it all came down to was like, it's almost like Eminem, you get one shot at situations. Like, it's like, you can't rewind it.
Yeah.
So just do it right the first time. And sort of leading up to that day, I had feelings. I almost could have won the world title of the event before, and I stuffed up, and the emotions got too much for me, and I just crumbled. And so I was like, all right, we're going into that final day. We're not doing that again. No, I've felt these feelings and I know what came out of it and I was not happy. So that's why I just, And, if you put your best foot forward and you do your absolute best, then that's all you can do. It might be the right result, might not. But you just go and, at least if you know you've gone and done your best, you can put your head on the pillow at night and you don't have those 2 a.m. nightmares. So that's how I look at it.
Did you have like a feeling of relief? Like I think of whenever big games have happened, win or lose and stuff, like whenever you win those big games, and in this case, whenever you won that big competition, like whenever you finished and you were given that title, was it just like this sigh of relief of like, I've done it?
I don't look at myself as I'm the best surfer. I look at it as I was the best competitor.
Yeah, that's a great way.
When you got Kelly Slater there, like you can't really say you're the best surfer. So I was just the best competitor that year.
Yeah.
Like that relief, it's like, it's heavy. Like when you walk into those situations and you've got not only the pressure of yourself, you try not to look at media or anything like that, but it gets in.
Yeah.
And then you've got your family, and your family's sort of tiptoeing around you, and are you okay? This, that. And you can feel it. Everyone's tense. And I think that's what makes those moments so special as well. It's like everyone sort of comes together, and you're not only doing it for yourself, you're doing it for your family and your friends, and it's like, I don't know, it's almost going to war. where it's like, it's on. And that's the beauty of it, is just what are you going to do when the time comes? It's like, all right.
It's always chasing that feeling again too, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, some people don't. Like, you know, you meet people that, you know, they work so hard to get one world title or one championship or one grand final, and it's like, I'm good.
I'm done.
I'm done. Yeah.
Box, did the dream.
Yeah. I'll see you at the pub.
See you at the pub.
But yeah, for me, it was always like, you know, after my first world title, I was almost that person. And it was because I just put so much into that first year. It was just like, I was just exhausted, and you have like a hangover effect almost. And then after the, you know, you get your energy back, and you're like, shit, I don't really like being 4th or 5th in the world. It's like, I'm going to fight to get myself back to where I want to be. And that's, I enjoy the preparation and all the stuff that comes along with it. And just testing yourself in those situations against the best people in your world.
Persistence is key. Yeah. Well, finish up, mate. What's next? I ask this because you do a lot of things, mate. You do a lot of things. And is there anything that's sparking your passion at the moment that you are really going to launch into?
Family always comes first in my world. You know, making sure that, you know, I only work when his little fella's at school. I try and be home as much as possible. But yeah, at the moment, probably the biggest thing I'm working on is the charity golf day that I started last year. So that's going to be a giant headache coming into that. But it's so rewarding, and people have so much fun. And last year was just such a great success. So that's the biggest thing. And then after that, I don't know. We'll see.
Time will tell. There'll be something big on the horizon, I can almost guarantee.
Oh, who knows? Maybe it's just the sun.
Well, mate, thanks so much. I appreciate your time. Seriously, you're an absolute icon in this country. You should be so proud of what you've been able to do. I know a lot of people are proud of you and what you represent. And just a massive thank you for coming on. And I know a lot of people would have learned something from this.
It's good fun. Good chatting, man, and all the best in your career too.
Thanks, legend.